I've never met a successful person that hasn't gone through years of struggle before they've broken through and seen wealth in their life. I think sometimes we believe that there are these shortcuts, these holy grails, these easy pathways where there is no pain. The reality of the situation is that all successful people understand this secret. They learn from their failures. They embrace pain. They embrace struggle because they understand that that is where the growth is. Whenever I've had the toughest periods in my life, what's gone on from that is the biggest amount of growth. That is where you push forward, but you have to show up every single day. Yes, you're going to have self-doubt. Yes, you're going to sometimes self-sabotage. Yes, sometimes you're going to wake up and that voice is going to tell you that you're not good enough. But I am living proof to tell you, no matter where you come from, you can turn it around. You can make it happen, but you have to decide. You have to be crystal clear on what you want to achieve. I remember looking out of the window aimlessly for hours and hours and thinking, is this it? Am I going to just live this average life? Am I going to allow myself not to achieve these big goals just by this voice in my head telling me that I'm not good enough? But I pushed through it. I found a way to quieten that voice because I was clear on my why. I knew that if I push deeper than ever before, I will be able to achieve an abundance of wealth for me and my family. And I'll look back and realize that I done it. I made it happen. I knew I would be the one to do it. And you have to be clear on your why. All of these things, how are you going to do it, when it's going to happen? You have no control over the outcome. You have to release control of the outcome. All you can control is showing up every single day and keeping to your word. That's it. It will happen when it will happen. It will never happen on your time. It will never happen on your schedule, the exact date that you set. But if you do not work towards it every single day, you've guaranteed that it will never happen for you. So I am here to tell you, you can turn it around. It does not matter where you came from, what upbringing you have, what resources you have. Start small. Start ticking off those goals. Move towards it every single day. I remember I would sit there and visualize and map out every detail. I knew where I was going. I knew the impact it would make for me and my family because my why was so strong. I remember I would sit there and visualize for hours. I want to live in this house. I want to be a full-time trader. I want to have multiple sources of income. I want to have this business. I want to live my life like this. This is how my routine would be. I would have a swimming pool, tennis court, big luxurious grounds, water fountain. I knew every detail that this is what I'm going to make happen. And it was so clear that I already thought I achieved it. And that is where the magic happens. So guys, I want you to take this energy into your goals. Think bigger than ever before. And when you show up every single day and you're patient on the bigger picture, you will be amazed at how much you are truly capable of. Right guys, so we are here, as you can see, we are at the front of the house. So we're about to go in and show you what we've got. We've got the big skip here, as you can see, we're just getting rid of everything. And yeah, we'll go back. The amount of times, by the way, I have played football here, just so many hours, just kicking the ball relentlessly at that garage. You can see how much it's worn over the time. But yeah, let's take a look. Right guys, so we are in the hallway. I'm going to take you through a little bit of a tour. So currently literally by the front door, and let's move into here. So this is the front room. Everything has of course been stripped out, all the floors, etc. But this is the front room area. This was kind of a living room slash dining table used to be here, looking out into the back garden. And yeah, this is where I spent so many memories. I remember even when I had my paper round, I would come down here at literally like 5:20 in the morning, get ready to go and do my paper round. Like, there's so many positive memories, even though looking back, I mean, looking to where I've gone, it's a night and day difference. However, home is home at the end of the day. So the first message I wanted to really share was that make do with what you've got. It doesn't matter where you are, as long as you've got that vision as where you want to go, that's all you need. So even though home is home, right? So even just, there's so many memories I can just think of here, but it's a bit of a weird feeling, that's for sure, kind of looking out into just so many memories. Right guys, so before we go into the kitchen, I wanted to give you a bit of background. So today I'll be actually giving the keys back. You saw that big skip outside, getting rid of loads of rubbish, clearing it all out, and yeah, it's just an interesting feeling. This is the last day. So like I said, so many memories of Christmases and
all these Easters, like so many of these things with family, you know, you have to remind yourself of where you was. So even though it wasn't the best environment, it was still home, and it's where I grew all my mentality. So let's take a look at the kitchen. So a relatively small kitchen. See if we've still got lights. Yeah, that flicker. So we just give you a bit of perspective here. So yeah, this was the kitchen. There's obviously a lot of like mold grown and stuff like that, but again, even looking at it, it's a weird feeling, right? So when you come out of something and then you come back, you kind of realize how bad things were, but at the time you don't kind of notice it because you just kind of get on with what you've got. And then when you're in a different environment and you come back, you're like, whoa, that was not the nicest. But regardless, it was home, right? So this is where all the cooking was done, etc. And even again, just remember just looking out so many times into just to the back garden. Unfortunately, didn't use the back garden that much, and it was always overgrown and things like that. But again, there was a lot of times which we didn't have the funds to really do much, right? So we would trim it back with what we've got, but we didn't have the funds to make it, you know, like landscape really nice. So there wasn't too many memories of sitting outside per se. So now having the land that we have to be able to sit outside is yeah, it's night and day. This is the pantry area, if you want to call it that. So this is where the fridge and freezer used to be. So this was that type of area. And then all the cupboard space, this was the snack cupboard. This is where I was all the time. And then there's a little downstairs toilet that was there. And then this was just cupboard space for pots and pans. But before, this never used to be there because as I've mentioned on the channel before, unfortunately my dad had his stroke when I was literally like 5 years old. We never used to have that, so that was outside, and then we had to put pills through for literally, it took maybe I think it was 5 or 6 years of him struggling to pretty much walk on a stick. He's paralysed in the right side of his body. He can't even walk now, so he's fully bedbound, but before that he could walk. But going to the toilet, it took him so long to get up to the stairs in time, so we had to have that downstairs toilet, but that literally took us like 5 to 6 years. So whoever gets the house, of course, it's a nice little benefit to have the downstairs toilet. But yeah, so that is the kind of small area from kitchen to pantry, but it was useful. Right, so upstairs we go. So we're still kind of sorting a few things out, ripping some more bits off, and then we'll have to hoover the place, etc. So top of the stairs, hallway, small little bathroom there, which we'll go into, well, toilet we'll go into, bathroom straight on. So this was kind of like a wet room that we had to have for my dad, so we had to change all of this. But yeah, that's that part. And then this is my dad's old room. So this is the more important room. And the reason why this is more of the important room, because this was my driving factor. So I explain things like this all the time. If you don't have a deep vision and a why, it won't be enough. So what did I use? I had to use something that was going to push me beyond myself. I've explained this example before. Imagine you're thirsty, right? And you want some water. And for example, it was, I don't know, 5 miles away for you to get water. If you wasn't that thirsty, you'd probably just say, I'll wait till tomorrow, fine, I'll just go tomorrow, right? Imagine then you have a family member or your daughter, your son, and they need water, and it was 20 miles away. What would you do? Within a click of a finger, would you wait tomorrow or would you go and do it? You wouldn't even think about it. It wouldn't even be a thought. You would just get up and go and get it done. Why? Because it's for somebody else. So what I noticed very early on is that for me, in order for me to be more successful, I need to use things to my advantage because I haven't had any handouts, I haven't had any privileges, there isn't anything that's been given to me to be able to advance. I need to use something that no one else can give me, which is the internal why. I can find that myself. So I found that, right, Dad's condition is not the best. His view, his environment is not that great. How can I advance that? Well, I need to become a certain person. I need to build wealth, build assets, develop skills to be able to do that in the future. So this is why this is such an important room for my family to be able to do that. I mean, my mum literally gave up her whole life just to be his full-time carer. My mum's very intelligent, very intelligent, speaks like 5 languages. She gave up her whole life just to be able to look after my dad. And that commitment to me was like, no, I need to make things happen. I need to do stuff for my family. So this was the view that he had, as you can see. This is what I was saying before in the previous videos. You've probably seen my parents' build. This is what it was. You know, this was his viewpoint. You're just looking out at some, flats in the distance, and that was pretty much it. With a TV on here. These are my old guitars. which I'll probably restore. Those are some childhood memories as well. But yeah, this was the room. So this was my dad's room. We had to adapt it, especially when he had his hospital bed put in. It wasn't fit for purpose for my mum and dad. So for a period of time, he was able to sleep in a normal bed, right? He was able to walk on a stick, but his health kind of slowly started to deteriorate, that's the hard part, right? That you're trying to live in the present, you're trying to live in the moment. However, you know time is advancing, and you can either spend all of that time with your parents, with your family, or you have to sacrifice that time to then get further along. See, that's the hard part, because then what if you spend your whole life trying to accomplish something and then you missed all those moments? So it's a very tough battle mentally to be able to separate the two, but you know, had to get it done. So this is a bathroom, so you can see a little bit more in there. There's not really much to see, it's pretty small, but again, it was just was what it was. You make do with what you've got. So this is all kind of pretty much cleared out now. This is the hallway, see a little red ball in the distance there. But this was nearly knocked out Alex there. So this is the toilet area, so it was a small little toilet. They weren't connected, so I think this is kind of very old school, but yeah, just a separate toilet with this part. So this was the hallway. And before we go into the office, we're going to my old bedroom first. So of course it was me, my brother, my sister, and my sister's old room was there, and then me and my brother used to share this room until he got old enough, and then he moved out, and then this became my room. There was so many years I spent here, and even just looking out here you get more of a view as to what I was looking at. But again, I remember the amount of hours that I have spent just looking out of this window, just kind of literally like peering through, looking at the flats, looking at everywhere, and thinking, do you know what, one day I will not be looking out of this. One day I'll be able to give some stuff for my family, and I won't have to see this. And it's no disrespect to it, it's not my vision, it's not what I see myself in the future, and I never did. And I just thought, you get one opportunity, why would I waste it just living here? But again, there's no negative moments here. This is still home for me, so it's all happy memories, and I'm actually glad that I was in these situations, because I honestly think that this is what forced me to level up. I think if it was too comfortable, I would have been comfortable, but I was always uncomfortable, whether that be, I've mentioned the old stories where we literally had £10 for the week to be able to buy food, and then if anything went over, and this was the Safeway time before we had Morrison's in the UK, we'd have to give food back. You know, you remember those moments. Those are the little moments that you think, never again, that's not happening. I need to work my arse off, discipline, make sacrifices, so I never have to be in that situation again. So yeah, this was the old one, but I'm going to show you a little patch here, which is this little blue patch. There's a big story behind this little blue patch. So as you can see, this used to be blue, and we painted it, right? There was a period in time that I was going through, I wouldn't say like full-on depression, but certainly had the symptoms of feeling sorry for myself, loads of periods of time. And I used to have my bed like this, right? The bed used to be that way. I used to have a cabinet there, and then the TV on the wall. So I would the bed was like this, but I used to kind of sit here back against the wall, and then my head would almost be positioned like there. As you can imagine, I had a low bed. My head would be positioned there, and I'd be looking straight ahead here, looking at the TV, and just watching TV, staying up till like 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, and then waking up really late, feeling sorry for myself. This was when I had been made redundant from being an engineer. I had my whole pathway laid out. Family was really proud of me because it was very like certificate based. I'm sure a lot of you can resonate with that. And I thought, right, this is where I'm going. I'm going to be a bridge engineer. I'm going to work on these things. You know, I'm going to work my way up, and then all that type of stuff, right? But that got taken from me, and it felt like I was lost. Didn't know what I was doing. Didn't know where to go. And at this point, I'd already taken the 2-day course with trading early on as an 18-year-old. I was still going through that, but that was early on, guys. You know, you're not making money straight away, right? So I still felt like, yes, I'm doing this, but what else do I do? And I'd be learning and doing these things, but really, like, you're not making any money at that point because it's so early on. I still felt all of the doubt that you guys might feel sometimes, like, but is it going to work out? And then bearing in mind, I just literally used all of my life savings that I'd earned as an engineer in that period of time to pay for that course, right? And then I'm doing night shift. I think I've got it with me. Yes, I did. I was going to show you guys later, but I've actually got it with me as well. So night shift, there it is. as you can see there, looking very different, if that can focus on that. But yeah, this was when I was working, it says Asda on there, I wasn't working at Asda, but I was doing night shift, carrying plasterboard up and down, and my finger, to be honest, my fingers still feel achy from it, and I'm sure people that work in trade, you can relate to that, of certain injuries that you get. However, it's moments like that, and when I was clearing through all of like the rubbish and clearing things out, there's a lot more to go through than what you'd imagine, right? I saw that and I thought, wow, how many years ago was that? So again, while I'm learning to trade, while I'm doing all these different jobs, I remember I was working, doing glass collecting, I was doing night shift there, and then I would be doing labouring in the daytime, car wash at some point. I mean, there's so many jobs that I'd done, but again, I was using that period to just kind of fumble my way through it while I'm still learning to trade, while I'm advancing. But never once did I get to a point where I thought, oh, I'm 2 years into trading, I'm doing night shift, I'm doing that, I'm a failure. I didn't. Yes, I felt lost, but I just knew there will be, I still had something inside of me when I would just take these moments and I would look out and I would say, this is not my life, this is not going to be forever. So it doesn't matter where you are, a year from now, 6 months from now, your life can be very different. People underestimate, they overestimate what they can do in 6 months, but they underestimate what they can do in just a couple of years of focus and sacrifice. You can put yourself 30, 40 years ahead, believe you me. And now I've put myself in a situation where I wouldn't even call myself rich, wealthy, right? I've focused on building wealth, having cash flow assets, making sure that I've got skills, passive income, multiple sources of income. That takes time. But when you think about sustainability for the future, guys, you will thank yourself. It's not just about making quick bits of money. This brings me on to the next part. So let's take a look at my old kind of office room from a timeline perspective. My sister's moved out, brothers moved out. They're older than me. They're like 9 and 7 years older. So brother 9 years, sister 7 years. So they've moved out. I'm still here, and I'm getting close to going full time at this stage. Let's take a look at the office. Right, guys. So now it's the office. So imagine there's my bedroom. This is the office. When my sister's old room went, I made this into the office. I remember actually saving up some, when I got just even a small amount of profit, I actually done this floor, which is like nice cardine floor. It was old carpet before, but that was actually quite a nice little achievement. So to talk you through it, wouldn't be an office if I didn't have a Red Bull in there, so it's probably very old. I've got a few things I want to show you up here in just a second, but this is where I had my bookshelf, if you like, had all my books here, had my desk here, and then I had my cork board. This was my vision board, so had everything up on there. That's of course all taken off. Funny enough, everything that was on there, that has been accomplished a tenfold. And then this I was using as, this was actually originally like this little cove here, if you like. There used to be wardrobes here, but this was actually the area where I put more books on, and I was kind of using it as a almost like a study session, if you like. So because what I used to do, I used to print out like charts and all that kind of stuff, which I'm sure you guys used to do back in the day, or you still do now, patterns, all of that stuff. I wanted a different environment that was kind of away from the desk to here. So I used to sit here with a laptop, or I used to sit here just kind of like reading stuff. And I had a lamp here, and it was a nice little kind of different environment, if you like. And then, yeah, I just used to spend so much time just in this office. Like even when I went full-time trading, this is the thing. For those of you that are looking to get funded, right? The amount of people that get funded really quickly, you might actually not know what you're doing. The scary thing is you could have a 100K account and not really know what you're doing. Why? Because you could follow someone's trades. You could get quite fluky on a few positions, and then you're in control of 100K. And then what do people do? They start thinking, oh, if I make a few percentage, and let's say they do carry on, they make, I don't know, and you've seen it on YouTube, you guys have seen it online, they might make a £7,000 withdrawal or a 10K withdrawal. At that point, you try convincing someone that they don't know what they're doing. If you've made 10K in a trade, 10K withdrawal, you're feeling euphoric. You are on top of the world. And then you'll start making impulsive decisions based off of what you never had. So if you never had a nice car, parents didn't have enough money to buy you that, or you didn't live in a nice house, what will you do? You start putting deposits down. And I've seen this from hundreds of people, by the way, make this mistake. They don't think about 6 months of outgoings. They don't think about it methodically. They just go and indulge very quickly. So when I went full-time trading, I didn't do any of that. I was still in this office. I was still living here. Part of it which I was living here, you've got to understand, is that I spent a lot of time taking care of my family, as I still do now, right? So part of it was that. There were points in which that if I really wanted to, I could just go live in a nice one-bedroom apartment in London and just kind of almost look rich. My goal wasn't that. I was establishing, growing my account, building wealth, and putting myself in a position that I could help my family. So having them close and living here wasn't always for a period of time a reflection of where I was financially, but in turn it actually worked out because I didn't start to have then big outgoings that I didn't need. I was very humble about it, and then I took my time with it. So please don't rush the period of this desire just to go to full time, maybe because your ego's in the way and you think that's you getting there quicker. It doesn't necessarily mean that. If you enjoy your job and you love it, well then utilize it to your advantage. If you can successfully trade while you're doing your job, see it as two sources of income. Don't rush that process, guys. So that is that. And then this is the bedroom window, well, old bedroom window. This is the office window that I would look out of for so many periods of time. You know, looking back, again, it was still home, and yeah, lots of memories here. It's like I said, there's not always things that you can kind of put into words as to how you feel as such. But you know what, it was nice. I mean, next door neighbours were lovely. That's the one thing I've enjoyed about this period. When I was, say, if I was away anywhere, etc., they was always keeping a lookout. They knew about Dad's condition, so they would always be there as kind of like watching out and looking after us. So that's the thing that I'll definitely miss, but you know, really appreciate that. And yeah, it's just about having good people around you, having good neighbours around you, which we've always had, by the way. So I think that is the blessing. So again, yeah, it's just a weird feeling. This will literally be the last time that I'm here looking out at that. I'll tell you what the weird feeling is that when you start to become more successful and you do these things, like we've still always had this house right before, because built my parents the home on the land, etc. But we've still had this house. Now today we give it back. It's almost like end of an era, like that. Finally, that chapter is closed. That's the one that you kind of can't put into words. Like I did it. Like the amount of times I would look out here and just look out and think, I'm not successful now, but I will be. I know I will be. I'll just affirm it to myself every single time. Even when I wouldn't do well, even 3 years in, I haven't really made any money in trading at this point. And I'm still stubborn enough to keep on going. Why? Because my why and my vision was there. I wasn't going to live and settle for some average life when I'm more capable of that, and I knew I was. And it's when I look back, it's all these little small conversations that you have with yourself when no one else is watching. On a Friday night, when I started sacrificing, not going out. Mark, where are you on Friday? How come you're not coming out on Saturday? I'm in here working on my craft, right? I'm making money at this point when I'm going full-time trading. I still didn't feel the need to indulge and splash out because I was very humble about it. But I think a big part of that was my upbringing, my childhood. I was forced to grow up very, very quickly because, of course, taking care of my dad, etc. So even though those times are very, very difficult, it worked out a blessing in disguise that it gave me a lot of strength, that's for sure. So wherever you are right now, don't think that that is your final destination. You could be in where you feel is rock bottom. 3 months from now, your life can change drastically. That's the part I was going to show you. So let's take a look at this. So you guys remember me recommending, I found my old copy of the Chimp Paradox. Arguably, this changed my, you can see how tatty this is. Pages are probably falling out of it. So this is the 2000, and I don't know if you can see it, but this is the 2012 edition. I always mark that date as a very important date because 2012 arguably is where I would say my mentality completely changed. It was the first time I was introduced to really personal development, like strongly. Yes, I was already learning to trade and things like that, and I would say the only book I'd read at that point is Trading in the Zone because that was recommended when I first started trading. But apart from that, I still wasn't aggressively involved in personal development. I wasn't the type of person to read a book every single month or even read 3 books a year. I just didn't. But 2012 this, and I can attribute a lot of my success down to that book. So I'm gonna frame this, keep it safe, because this book, I remember I had absolutely nothing holding this book, reading this and programming my mind, making sure I developed. So yeah, very special book. But what we'll go into the more important things is the GCSEs. So let's take a look at these bad boys. Bearing in mind, I thought I'd done a lot better than what I did, and now I can remember why. So let's see here. So you can see French, physical education, and mathematics. So we've got D, D, E. Now, before I move any further, let me explain why. I looked at that and thought, I knew I'd done better than that. And the reason as to why is that there was a lot of coursework that wasn't submitted. So during this last year of my school, it was a very lonely year because my dad had already been up and down in terms of health, but this time it was getting bad. So I had to spend more time. I stopped going to school on time. I would come in late. I would already miss first period, and school teachers didn't really know what was going on until later on, until I explained, and they understood my attendance was really poor. So it wasn't always a reflection as to where I was, because I would do reasonably well on an exam, but I would submit something like 10% coursework, because emotionally, as like a 15-year-old, it was so much to deal with at that point, and it got overwhelming at times, that's for sure. So looking back, I remember that last year of school was very, very tough. I felt very isolated, very lonely, but it is what it is. But yeah, so French, PE and maths, E in maths. I actually done really well in the exam and submitted no coursework. So what else have we got here? Science, I'll just put that down. So science, what have we got? So I got a double award in science. There's a G. I thought F was the bottom one, but yeah, G. So I got a double G there. And then full course business studies, D, which is hilarious because I've got 7 businesses. So again, who would have thought, right, D in business? This is where people are judging themselves based off of these letters. English and English literature, which I expected. Being dyslexic, I did find these ones challenging. D and D is probably a fair reflection of that, because I remember still giving it my all in those 2 ones, but it is what it is. I mean, you're marked based off of what the curriculum is. Religious studies, so RE, D, and then graphics, F. Have I got anything else in here? So that's college after. Essentially, before I show you the last part, which is going to make sense to all of this, is even then, graphics, right? After that, I went to college, right, to then start studying engineering and things like that. Science, maths, and graphics was an important part, right? So that was an important part. How did I go from getting those grades to then getting top of the class, right? Because something shifted when I left school. I remember the last day walking into the town to get the bus. It was about a 20-minute walk because the buses were always busy, so we used to just walk into town. I remember the last day I was on my own, and I walked into town, and then as I looked back at my old St Simon's Stock was the school, I remember looking back at the school and thinking, I'm going to do something. I don't know what, but I'm going to make something of myself. And then that's when I went to college, and then I got, is it 96 out of 100? This was just old. This is more the silly certificate, but I got the full grade there, and then, so this is level 3 in AutoCAD. So when I was engineering, this is what was, which was what was needed for that. So I've got the level 3s, and then I think this is level 3 in computer. Okay, same thing. And then 2007 to 2008, this was, okay, so distinctions. So this was the overall course that I was taking. So distinctions, distinction, pass, distinction, distinction, distinction. So yeah, I remember I got distinction star across the board, and these are the kind of I think they're the same sort of certificates if you like. So yeah, they're all there. So the key thing here is, right, is from a very, very short period of time, just going from that to that, when I put my mind to something, I was able to do it. So I think going back through the sort of timeline, I knew that mentally, emotionally, it affected me. So I didn't do very well because the attendance wasn't there. After I got over that period and went to college, I was like, right, I need to do something for myself now. I was able to do it. I was able to put my mind to something and get it done, and then get distinction star. And then that's when I got the job while I started off there, going into WSP Group was I think it was like the second biggest company in the UK at the time. And there was one called Jacobs that I applied for first and didn't get the job. But anywho, I was able to apply myself and do that. And I realized, well, who was that person then versus that person there? There's not really much difference apart from emotions. So it was just emotions. So it just goes to show that your emotional psychology is so important towards your success, which is why we talk about things like Rewired. The reason why I built the Rewired program for traders, purely trading psychology, is because, as you can see, psychology being one of the most important things, which is why you need to affirm things to yourself every single day, affirming things into your head that sets you up to win. With repetition and time, you become that person, which is why it brings me on to the famous whiteboard. This is my old whiteboard, as you can see what I've written here. This still stands today. I persist until I succeed. that is an interesting feeling. The amount of goals that have been written on this whiteboard, from that vision board to this whiteboard, everything has been manifested, everything's been achieved, and probably a tenfold more. Not even in my wildest dreams to what has been accomplished did I always think at that given time. But I tell you what, I knew there's one thing, and this has resonated with me for years and years, and I've shared it with you guys many times, and it still stands the test of time. And I think the persistence out of all of this is probably the most important thing. So my kind of final sign-off message is this very bittersweet moment, but do what you can with what you've got, and you will be amazed at what you can accomplish. So we're back, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed that episode and you got a bit of an insight as to where I grew up, the neighborhood, all of that, and you resonated with the message. The message was the most important thing. Of course, it was a bittersweet moment, but you know what? The memories there were very positive, and because of that struggle, I grew from that. So wherever you are right now, dig deeper than what you can ever imagine, and you'll be surprised at what you can accomplish. Be patient, surround yourself with good people that are going to support you every step of the way, but sometimes you just have to wait a little bit longer. You can either spend your time working in a job that you hate for years on end, or you can take risks, invest in yourself, do these things, because believe you me, we're only here once, right? We're not coming back, and there'll be a period of time which you regret that you never tried, you never pushed yourself. So take that opportunity, take that inspiration from this video, and just realize that you can accomplish so much more if you're just patient enough on the bigger picture. But if you go after it every single day, you'll be surprised at where you can get to. So hopefully you enjoyed that episode, and I thank you for joining me, right? I wanted to make this channel about sharing all parts of the journey. So this is a bit of a different one. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Let me know if you resonate with any particular messages, and I would love to know in the comments, where are you in your journey right now? What kind of struggles have maybe you've already overcome that you can relate to this video? I'd absolutely love to know. But where are you going? That's the most important thing. Where are you going? What are your big ambitions, and what are your goals? Guys, enjoy the rest of your day, your weekend, and I will catch you in the next one.
It's quite something when you think that,
it definitely is.
You get over it, but it's
It's bittersweet because this is where I grew up. So
yeah,
I
look where we are now.
I know.
Better than broken glass and
I know.
whatever.
That's what I said. I videoed around and I said in there, I was lucky that we had you guys next door to look after, just keep an eye out for mum and dad and stuff like that. So
well, yeah.
really appreciate that.
That's right.